Okay, so as you saw from my intro, just sitting there staring at the blank page going, what do we talk about in this Final Cut Pro 11.1 video? I was on a little family trip when it got released, of course, so I couldn't be there to excitedly consume the release notes and put together a video right away explaining all the cool, new, amazing, revolutionary features that Apple had added to Final Cut Pro 11.1. And as my good friends' videos trickled in, Dylan Bates especially, the Final Cut Bro, kind of watched it and went, that's it? That's it? I know this is a common refrain from me. I don't want this to be a complainer video, but I'm just sitting here going, I don't know what to excitedly cover about Final Cut Pro 11.1. So for those of you who don't know, Apple released Final Cut Pro 11.1 last week. I think it was on Thursday. Today is actually Friday, April 4th, so just over a week ago. Also a new version of Final Cut Pro Camera, which I haven't had yet time to explore, and of course a new version of Final Cut Pro for iPad, which mirrored a lot of the updates for Final Cut Pro for Mac. So in a week of just sort of sipping coffee and contemplating, how do I cover Final Cut Pro 11.1? I just keep coming up blank and going, I kind of want to make a video about this, or I kind of want to make a video about that. And you can see on my channel, I'm making a lot of videos about other things, including this sweatshirt. I excitedly acquired this sweatshirt by trading in vintage clothes and exchanging for it. I'll put the link in the description and at the end of the video because I'm wanting to use the tools of Final Cut Pro 11 to tell really cool stories because Final Cut Pro news coverage and all of that is a little uneventful. So let's just recap real quick. Final Cut Pro 11.1. We got a new adjustment clips thing. Cool. Great that Apple's doing their own version of what we commonly refer to as adjustment layers. I've been using a free adjustment layer plugin for years to add color grades and effects to footage, but it's nice that we have a version that Apple made. Cool. Nothing earth-shattering. Image Playground. I think this is the seed of something really cool, but, and I haven't had a chance to look at it, but in all the demos in the Final Cut Pro videos from Ripple Training, Jen Jager, Dylan Bates, they'd add the Image Playground image, and it would, they're in a roughly a 16:9 aspect ratio project, and the Image Playground image looks like, I don't know, 4:3 or 3:2 or some other aspect ratio. Do they have to scale it up? Can Image Playground make a 16:9 image? Is it being kind of ham-fisted into Final Cut Pro because it's really something that's meant to generate a still that's compatible with social media, which is more of a vertical format, but they didn't make it so that you could make it in 16:9? I haven't gone down that rabbit hole to find out, and I'm sure I will now that I've upgraded to Final Cut Pro 11.1, but really? If it can't do 16:9? That's kind of bizarre. Magnetic mask improvements, new keyboard shortcut, and some bug fixes there. The Quantec Room Simulator, I know for all of you sound effects editors and people that want to do effects to vocals and dialogue and all that stuff, this is really cool. Again, not earth-shattering, but definitely very cool. I enjoyed Dylan Bates's demo of it and the different effects that you can get. I'll probably use it at some point, but it's not something I'm like, oh my god, I gotta try the Quantec Room Simulator right now. Renaming audio effects, following in the footsteps of finally being able to rename your color grade effects to better organize what you're doing with your audio. Very cool. Happy to have this feature. Again, something we've been asking for years. We finally have it. Cool. Great. Okay. Reveal the source of a multicam angle or a synced clip in the browser. Again, this just feels like kind of like Apple going through the laundry list of things we've been asking for over the years and kind of picking off some of the easier to execute ones to combine all of those things into a more substantive update from, not 11.0.2, but 11. One. Okay. And then lastly, movable markers. Again, something that we've all wanted. I mean, it's great to be able to move a marker. I am tired of having to cut the marker, right click, hit cut, and then add a new marker because I've made a mistake with where I placed it or whatever other issues I'm facing. Now, of course, though, you can't move the marker from one clip to another. It's contained on that clip. And that, to me, while maybe I understand the technical limitations of being able to move a marker from clip to clip, it would be nice to be able to do that. And I can't imagine that that is prohibitively difficult to figure out. Maybe that'll be in a further update after we add moving markers between clips to our list of things that we want to see Apple update. I think Final Cut for camera got like support for 25 frames per second. I know it's a big help to our friends across the pond, so I'm glad that you're getting some of the frame rates that you want. I'm pretty sure you still can't take a picture with Final Cut camera, and I get it, it's a video-centric thing, but Image Playground is about a still image, but in Final Cut camera app, you can't take a picture. It just kind of boggles my mind. Final Cut for iPad, again, a lot of these features ported over from Final Cut for Mac so that they have interoperability or intercompatibility, all that great. There's still no audio crossfade shortcut. You can't hit Option T on your $350 magnetic keyboard to automatically crossfade between clips, and this is the biggest thing that's keeping me from spending a lot of time in Final Cut Pro for iPad. I know it's just a small thing to be holding me up, but I can't stand manually crossfading all of my audio cuts to make them smooth. And I don't want to, I personally don't want to start an edit on my iPad and go, oh, you know what, they don't have the audio crossfade shortcut. I'll just port it over to my Mac and finish everything up there. While I understand that line of thought, I want to be able to finish a video in Final Cut for iPad, period. And I can't do that with this shortcut missing. So that's frustrating. Okay, so just spitballing some of the things that would have been really cool to see in the Final Cut 11.1 update. Text-based editing, like stuff that you see in the add-on, extension, app, standalone thing, Descript. Apple needs to get their own version of text-based editing, a transcript of the dialogue that I'm saying right now and the ability to do a text-based edit that is then reflected in the timeline with a roll like this. A feature like Time Bolt has, where you can take a multicam clip of your A-roll like this, and you can sort of auto cut it down. You can look at multiple versions of what you said and pick the best take. You can cut out all of the dead air or the mistakes or the blips and whatever that you have in the dialogue. Something like that, Apple having that built into Final Cut would be, one of those updates that really blows people away and gets someone like me excited to make a video showing you how to do this stuff. Of course, multi-editor workflows that then pave the way for Apple to be able to have, Final Cut Pro featured in that awesome video they did showing Ben Stiller and his editor working, and his editors, team of editors working on Severance. Apple released this amazing video showing all about the post-production, mainly the editing of Severance, really getting into the details of editing that show. But it's all in Avid. Come on. I mean, I get that it's a Mac promo, but come on, Final Cut Pro, let's really figure out how to get this multi-editor workflow and these innovations into the Final Cut Pro app that show editors in the Hollywood system that this is an amazing tool for editing narrative films and TV shows. So there's that. Keyframes, being able to, the whole keyframe thing. Everybody can't stand the keyframes, and we're still waiting on that being updated. A complete overhaul of the color correction signal flow management. I use a Canon C300 Mark II in a lot of my footage, and Apple in the inspector will automatically apply a Canon log LUT to the footage because it detects that it was shot in Canon log 2 or 3. Cool. But if you keep that LUT applied, the signal flow, the you're not applying the LUT in the right place in how the signal chain works. If you don't know what that means, Tyler Stallman and my good friend Eric Lenz have videos explaining that and how Final Cut Pro is difficult to work with because of the signal chain and how it works. And a lot of that is in the inspector and how you order the LUT and your different color corrections that you have. If you don't do it in the right order, you break the signal chain and your video is not going to look as good as it should. That's something that I wish we could get overhauled. And I think a lot of people would be blown away by something like Apple acquiring Color Finale and integrating their tools into Final Cut, or them just doing their own version of those tools, so that they can stop lagging behind in color correction for their software. And this applies also to audio. I mean, can we just apply an effect to an audio roll, a specific audio roll? How can we improve the audio editing tools that we have with managing effects, using rolls, organizing our timeline so that we can do our sound effects editing and all of that stuff, our sound design and whatnot? Definitely some improvements that need to be made there. There's a list of other things as well. But those are the main ones that a lot of editors who I hear from, hear in the comments, talk to in my Discord, etc., have been clamoring for. And those are the types of things that make people really pumped about 11.1. So did Apple miss an opportunity to kind of ride the wave of the excitement about releasing Final Cut Pro 11? As I will say, while some of the features in Final Cut Pro 11 were exciting, there was nothing mind-blowing and earth-shattering about those releases. But just the simple fact that they've jumped from 10.8 to 11 was really exciting for all of us. Just like releasing a Final Cut Pro for iPad app sort of renewed our faith that Apple was committed to Final Cut Pro 11. But this is kind of a whimper of an update. And again, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, I'm ungrateful, I don't appreciate the app, etc. But as someone who wants to cover Final Cut Pro news, Final Cut Pro updates, and continue to make exciting content for all of you about new features in Final Cut, what the future of Final Cut Pro is, while I still think the future of Final Cut Pro is good, I'm just worried. Final Cut Pro 11.1, cool, great. Final Cut Pro 11.2, cool, we got some cool stuff, this little thing or that bug fix or this new keyboard shortcut. Image Playground, 16:9 images, awesome. Where are the earth-shattering updates that really improve quality of life and continue to make people go, maybe I should switch back to Final Cut? Maybe I should switch to Final Cut. Is Final Cut Pro 11 the best editor out there? That's what I want to see. Again, I think the future is bright for Final Cut Pro 11. I think we're going to see some exciting things. But yeah, I'm impatient. I'm ready for some big stuff to come to Final Cut Pro. In the meantime, we'll still put out some videos here about Final Cut Pro 11 and updates and new things that I discover or editing techniques that I come across in the making of videos like the one that I made about this sweatshirt that absolutely nobody has watched. No sob story there, but one of my favorite videos on the channel, and it has the least amount of views, I think, of any video I've uploaded. But that's okay. Not everybody's interested in vintage Apple clothing like I am. Okay. So I'm going to continue to drink my coffee and contemplate the future of Final Cut Pro and the content that I create on my channel about Final Cut Pro. In the meantime, I'm getting ready to go to NAB, and I'm excited to see all of the innovation from the other companies that I'm excited to check out, from Canon to Hedge to Glyph to Rode to all of the companies that are going to be showing all of their new products and software, etc. Wish Apple would show up, maybe put a Final Cut Pro 11 booth out there with Final Cut Pro camera, Final Cut for iPad, and, win the hearts and minds of all of us out there that are a little disappointed with where Final Cut Pro has been and for some of you, where Final Cut Pro is going. So yeah. If you're not a channel member, you can become a channel member for as little as 99 cents a month, and I have content in there about Final Cut Pro, about my life, about thoughts, about life as an artist and a creative and a YouTuber. You can subscribe and check out some of the content that I have there, including what will be some coverage of NAB and all that in those member videos. So yeah, let's just wrap this up. I got to get to editing this because I literally leave in less than 24 hours, and that's it. So let me know down in the comments what you think about the Final Cut Pro 11.1 update, and if there are any features that have really improved your quality of life, or if you're generally feeling like I do, just kind of like, okay, cool. We're moving along, we're trucking along, but nothing that is particularly compelling or earth-shattering that we're all hoping for. So yeah, that's it for this one. I'm going to get to chopping some broccoli, and you also need to get back to chopping some broccoli. So yeah, that's it. I'll see you in the next one. Great.